Okay, in this video I'll be looking at the reading passage number 1 of the IELTS reading test, and hopefully I can convince you to look at the text first before you start looking at the questions. Here we go. Okay, so here is the first video on reading, passage 1. First question is it better to start by looking at the actual text, or are you better off starting with the questions, looking at the questions first? Now, I would say it's better to start looking at the text before you turn to the questions. And I'm going to demonstrate why I think that's better. Okay, first of all, of course, as always, look at your title, Crop Growing Skyscrapers. Now, we're dealing with 3 paragraphs here, and then 4 paragraphs on this side. Now, the way that paragraphs are structured, they always start, not always, usually start with the topic sentence right at the beginning. So what we're going to do is just read the first sentence of each paragraph. That gives us an idea of what we can expect to find in the rest of the paragraph. We're not reading the whole paragraph, we're just looking at the first sentence. So by the year 2050, nearly 80% of the Earth's population will live in urban centers. Okay, so let's make a note about what the content of this paragraph is probably going to be. So it can be very short, just future predictions. Then, if we move on to the next paragraph and we look at the first sentence, we see the concept of indoor farming is not new, since hothouse production of tomatoes and other produce has been in vogue for some time. So this sounds like past developments. Let's extend this a little bit. Move this here. Past developments, what's been done in the past? So we can make a note of that here. But actually, before we got to the second paragraph, we were given a clue here by this last sentence. Sometimes it pays to also read the last sentence of a paragraph. What can be done to ensure enough food for the world's population to live on? And then here they talk about past developments to solve this issue. Moving on to paragraph 3. It took humans 10,000 years to learn to grow most of the crops we now take for granted. And this seems quite similar to paragraph 2. Although if you look at the second sentence, along the way we despoiled most of the land we worked on often. So this seems to have this topic, this paragraph. Let's see, we've got the current state. Current state of development. Let's move on to the next paragraph. The supporters of vertical farming claim any potential advantages for the system. Well, that's pretty simple, isn't it? So this paragraph is going to deal with advantages. Let's just move this down here. Then, going on to the next paragraph, a major drawback of vertical farming, however, is that the plants would require artificial light. So here we're dealing with disadvantages. And then moving on to the next paragraph, one variation on vertical farming. Actually, we don't need to read any further than that. We can see this is going to be variations. Let's try that again. Variations. And then the last paragraph, vertical farming is an attempt to address the undoubted problems that we face in blah, 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 blah. So we have conclusion. So just jot down what you think the theme or the topic of each paragraph is. What's also important, of course, is quickly scanning for numbers. So here we have dates, percentage. Here we have another number, noun, percentage, percentage. Moving on here, we have this term vertical farm in quotation marks. That'll be important. Here we already have 10,000, 60%. Let's move on to the next page. Nothing obviously stands out here. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. Okay, so now we have a general idea of the outline of the whole passage. Now we can go on to the questions. So some food plants, including blah blah blah, are already grown indoors. Okay, so where would we expect to find this answer? Are already grown sounds like a development, and big clue is we will look for the answer here. Of course, here we see production of tomatoes. So just by reading the first sentence and sometimes the last sentence of the paragraphs, we have a much greater chance of being able to quickly identify where the answers might be. Okay, number 2, vertical farms would be located in blah blah blah, meaning there would be less need to take them long distances to customers. Okay, so the location of vertical farms. Now remember, I highlighted vertical farm here because it's in quotation marks and capitalized, so it's a proper noun. So here is our keyword, and answer is not too far below that. Let's look at the next question. Vertical farms could use methane from plants and animals to produce. Now, could use, let's change that. Could use methane from plants. Now, could use, if we go back to what we identified as the topics of each sentence, could be here, current development, but if we scan for methane, we don't see anything here. But just going back to the question, could use, could be a possible advantage. So if we look at the advantage paragraph, can we find the word methane? Well, here it is. So we located it in the passage. Okay, let's go to question 4. The consumption of blah 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 would be cut because agricultural vehicles would be unnecessary. So we have something be cut associated with vehicles. Well, immediately you would start thinking about pollution or something. When we have vehicles here. So consumption of something would be cut sounds like an advantage. So if we go to our advantage paragraph, well, here it is. So just a bit of paraphrasing, reduce here instead of cut. Okay, number 5. The fact that vertical forms would need light is a disadvantage. Well, it's very simple, right? So here it is, disadvantage. And here it is right in the first sentence. Question number 6. One form of vertical farming involves planting in blah 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 which are not fixed. So we have this phrase. One form. Well, that would be a variation, wouldn't it? So easy to find the answer. And then question number 7. The most probable development is that food will be grown on blah 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 in towns and cities. The most probable development, so future development. While in an academic text, future developments might often be found in the conclusion. So if we have a look at the last sentence here, you can see it refers to urban rooftops. So my suggestion is use the text, look at the text first, get an idea of the layout, and it will allow you to find the answers much faster. So in the next video, I'll be looking at passage 2 of the IELTS reading text.